say something about fears that these loitering youths would not bring home the venison in time for Duke William's supper. Presently she looked up, rejoiced, for a few notes of a bugle horn were sounded. There was a clattering of feet, and in a few moments there bounded into the hall a boy of about 8 years old, his cheeks and large blue eyes bright with air and exercise, and his long light brown hair streaming behind him as he ran forward, flourishing a bow in his hand and crying out, "I hit him! I hit him! Dame Astrida, do you hear? 'Tis a stag of 10 branches, and I hit him in the neck." "You, my Lord Richard? You killed him?" "Oh, no, I only struck him. It was Osmond's shaft that took him in the eye, and look you, Fru Astrida, he came thus through the wood, and I stood here, it might be, under the great elm with my bow, thus." And Richard was beginning to act over again the whole scene of the deer hunt, but Fru, that is to say, Lady Astrida, was too busy to listen, and broke in with, "Have they brought home the haunch?" "Yes, Walter is bringing it." "I had a long arrow." A stout forester was at this instant seen bringing in the venison, and Dame Astrida hastened to meet it and give directions, little Richard following her all the way, and talking as eagerly as if she was attending to him, showing him how he shot, how Osmond shot, how the deer bounded and how it fell, and then counting the branches of its antlers, always ending with, "This is something to tell my father. Do you think he will come soon?" In the meantime, 2 men entered the hall, one about 50, the other 1 or 2 and 20, both in hunting dresses of plain leather crossed by broad embroidered belts, supporting a knife and a bugle horn. The elder was broad-shouldered, sunburnt, ruddy, and rather stern-looking. The younger, who was also the taller, was slightly made and very active, with a bright, keen grey eye and merry smile. These were Dame Astrida's son, Sir Eric de Centeville, and her grandson, Osmond. Into their care Duke William of Normandy had committed his only child, Richard, to be fostered or brought up. It was always the custom among the Northmen that young princes should thus be put under the care of some trusty vassal, instead of being brought up at home, and one reason why the Centevilles had been chosen by Duke William was that both Sir Eric and his mother spoke only the Norwegian tongue, which he wished young Richard to understand well, whereas in other parts of the duchy the Normans had forgotten their own tongue, and had taken up what was then called the langue d'oil, a language between German and Latin, which was the beginning of French. On this day, Duke William himself was expected at Bayeux, to pay a visit to his son before setting out on a journey to settle the disputes between the Counts of Flanders and Montreuil, and this was the reason of Fru Astrida's great preparations. No sooner had she seen the haunch placed upon a spit, which a little boy was to turn before the fire, than she turned to dress something else, namely the young Prince Richard himself, whom she led off to one of the upper rooms, and there he had full time to talk, while she, great lady though she was, herself combed smooth his long flowing curls and fastened his short scarlet cloth tunic, which just reached to his knee, leaving his neck, arms, and legs bare. He began hard to be allowed to wear a short, beautifully ornamented dagger at his belt, but this Fru Astrida would not allow. "You will have enough to do with steel and dagger before your life is at an end," said she, "without seeking to begin over soon." "To be sure I shall," answered Richard. "I will be called Richard of the Sharp Axe, or the Bold Spirit, I promise you, Fru Astrida. We are as brave in these days as the Sigurds and the Ragnars you sing of. I only wish there were serpents and dragons to slay here in Normandy." "Never fear, but you will find even too many of them," said Dame Astrida. "There be dragons of wrong here and everywhere, quite as venomous as any in my sagas." "I fear them not," said Richard, but half understanding her. "If you would only let me have the dagger. But hark, hark!" He darted to the window. "They come, they come! There is the banner of Normandy." Away ran the happy child, and never rested till he stood at the bottom of the long, steep stone stair leading to the embattled porch. Thither came the Baron de Centeville and his son.